Alright, what is up YouTube? It is K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video for today. We're gonna be talking about the Naoya Inoue Dasmarina's fight card. But we're not gonna be talking about the main event. Obviously Naoya, he knocked out Dasmarinas. That's not really that much of a credible win. But we're gonna talk about Mikaela Mayer. I don't think Mikaela Mayer is that good of a fighter, but I like to criticize on her performance against Erica Farias because Top Rank, they're pretty biased and they don't really understand boxing because Timothy Bradley or Mr. Sambo Bradley, that's what I'm going to call him, and Mr. Sambo Ward, both of those guys tend to be very ultra biased in the sense of using a boxer's style to be like the ultimate style to always win, and they kind of just cherry pick whatever punches that like basically like whatever punches is thrown by the favorited fighter, they always try to find any possible way to, I guess, like, overhype the fighter to make it seem like that fighter is like the best fighter ever. So I wanted to criticize on the Mikaela Mayer versus Erica Farias fight because Mikaela Mayer, she did a decent job in beating Erica Farias, but it wasn't, a really, really super high credible win, because the problem with this victory is that Erica Farias, she's a very high class veteran. She knows how to get things rolling when things are going her way, but she's not really, I would say, like the type of woman to be like the best female fighter ever. Which, I mean, Erica, don't get it twisted, she is a good fighter, but let's just face it, a 36-year-old versus a 30-year-old, Mikaela Mayer, one who is 5'4", and Mikaela, she's like what, 5'9", so she has a 66-inch arm reach, and I think Erica, I don't know what her arm reach is. I'm gonna probably go with like a wild guess, maybe 62 or 61. But I mean, she was good enough to give Mikaela a good fight. But this woman came all the way from super lightweight 140 after facing Jessica McCaskill, and come all the way down to 130, which, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, don't get it twisted, she is a good fighter. Plus, she has fought at 130 before and 135, according to what I'm seeing here. Yeah, she's fought at 130 before in the past, but I guess it's just that in this fight alone, it gave me a lot of questions to ask about Mikaela's defense, because Mikaela, she is a good offensive fighter. She blemishes so well in using the proper shot selections to get the ball rolling, but when she gets hit, her body language shows to me that she could easily get dropped. She could easily get knocked out by some girl that probably does have that probably does have knockout power, because even like a woman like Delphine Persoon, she has 44 wins with 18 KOs, and then she has 3 defeats with 1 KO. But it's like, has Mikaela ever fought someone like her? And I think that's really the biggest issue with her. She's not really facing a woman with power, which, don't get it twisted, Erica, she gave her some really good punches, and I definitely give her all the credibility and respect in the world. But I don't know how she's gonna do against I guess a girl like Terry Harper, which, I like Terry. She's a good fighter. She does a lot of things right, but when you look at how she did about, I would probably say, if you look at how Terry did against Katharina, Katharina Sanders, right? She TKO'd her, but the punches she landed on her were very, very sharp and timid to really get, Katharina, disgruntled. And she really had great advantages over her as far as, like, applying the right pressure and using a lot of good, athletic footwork movement to reposition, the shots that she was landing, and she was doing amazing. She definitely had a lot to prove in that fight. But I think with Mikaela, she has a lot of weaknesses in terms of not having that athletic ability to keep up, and something tells me that Terry would probably break that you know I would say let the like she would be the one to break the puzzle out of Mikaela, but I'm not going to say that her skill set alone is like way better than all the other fighters, because I can't really say that till Terry starts fighting. So I guess like the biggest issue that I have with Mikaela is that her defense is very, how should I say, it's very predictable, and she has a lot of holes to be exposed by a boxer puncher. And I think what Erica Farias did in that fight, she did an amazing job out jabbing Mikaela to the punch herself. And Mikaela, she did her thing. She definitely put some grit into it and not let Erica push her back. She pushed Erica back more than Erica did to her, but the punches that Erica landed that were more sharp and how should I say, more bad intentioned. I think Mikaela, she's going to get hurt by a punch that's going to be a lot more harder by a girl like maybe Terry Harper type of level, which I don't even think Terry's a big puncher, but just let the way how she positions those punches, she knows how to step down on the punches, and she does a really good job with that. And I don't think really too highly on British fighters like that, but I think for Terry, her school of fighting, I wouldn't even say it's even European. It's actually very like I'm not even so sure if she's like a southpaw, but I'm almost positive she is. Yeah, she has to be. Yeah, isn't she a Orthodox? Most I'm most certainly sure that she's an Orthodox, but if she's not, then I'm pretty sure she's definitely southpaw. Cause of the way she fights very like, yeah, she's a Orthodox, but no, just stylistically, I think Terry might edge her out just simply due to the athletic ability and the ring IQ that Terry does bring to the table. And I think that fight is definitely going to happen next, because I'd like to see that fight. And I love Mikaela; she's a good fighter, but despite some of what the things that she says about other fighters and her being a little bit suspect at times, but I think fighting wise, she's very slow, and I think it's probably due to her coming into the sport extremely late. Because now it's like we're like 3 years into her career, because she came in at 27 years old, and I don't really like seeing that out of fighters, because me personally, if you don't get enough time in the ring, especially at an older age, you don't have too much of a, you know, basically you don't have too much of that sustainability in the ring to feel those type of punches that are going to hurt you long term, that could possibly be a much more rough, rugged fight, because the pros are way different from the amateurs. So a lot of amateur pro-ish fighters really like to really like to re-emulate their style from the amateurs, which makes themselves look very predictable and very hittable, because what happens is that when they're so comfortable fighting in the amateurs, they think like, okay, I'm going to go into the pros and I'm going to do everything that I can to win. But it's like when you look at them fight in the pros, they're kind of fighting just like a scared little amateur. Because why? Because the pro game is way different from the amateur game. As far as just technicality, as far as positioning punches, as far as using the right mechanisms and fundamentals to win, is way different from the pros, because the pro game is a lot more condensed and slower, and it's all about endurance. It's all about the stamina. Versus in the amateurs, it's just all about points. People don't care if you get like that knockdown, which I mean they do care because some people have knocked out people in the amateurs, but it's way more common in the pros because the pros, you're getting hit in the face with a 8 ounce or 10 ounce gloves if you're male or female. So I think with Mikaela, she's never been tested highly to a point where, we've seen her cut, which we haven't even seen her cut yet. That's actually a really big question mark. Has she really been hurt to the point where that woman has grit and can actually puncture through the pain and suffering of a heavy hitter? Because we really haven't seen her in there with a heavy hitter. But if she's able to do that, okay, good for you. But the problem is that Bob Arum is not giving you that type of woman to bring you there. The closest woman that I would say that got her to that position of her getting banged up had to been the Helen Joseph fight. And I mean, I don't really think too highly of foreign fighters too much, but if you look at the Helen Joseph fight, she did a good job. She was trying her best, but Mikaela, she got hit with some really mean shots, and she pretended like as if it didn't hurt her, but it actually did hurt her. She had like a huge knot balled up, I think like on her forehead or something, but she didn't she didn't look too right. She looked very like hurt in the sense that she could really get knocked out because her defense is very lapsy. She has lapses on defense where she really lacks a lot of discipline by not respecting certain women's power, but the boxing ability with it. Because I think what the issue with her is that she's using her height as a means to keep herself afloat because she knows her jab keeps her safe, but if you're not using defense on top of that, you're going to get knocked out. So I think with Mikaela, if she utilizes that a lot better, I mean, I could definitely see her beating Terry and beating Mavia Hamadouche because Mavia, she's a big hitter. She knows how to hit. Even though that she's that white French girl that I think I'm talking about correctly, and she did stop, Anaya Sanchez, which that was a good win. But it's like, Mikaela, if she gets hit by those same punches that Anaya got hit by Mavia Hamadou, she could easily get knocked out. And I think her lack of defense is what's gonna really, really bite her, in the long run. Because if she doesn't have good defense, she's really going to get smothered. Well, I wouldn't even say smothered. She's going to get outclassed as far as endurance goes by a girl that could actually hit her and get her tired. Because we really haven't seen her in a fight with a girl that actually gives her the nitty gritty. I'm gonna get you tired. It's going to be deep waters type of fight. She's really been in like those C level to C minus to B minus type fight. She's not really in a B plus to A plus to a S tier level type of fighter. And I think the highest tier fighter that really gives her the biggest issues would be a woman like Terry Harper. And I don't really think too highly of foreign fighters like that, but Terry Harper, she's a good fighter. She doesn't fight like a Brit. She doesn't fight like how Europeans fight, where they come forward, they don't really use proper defense. She actually moves around. And that school has to either come from an American school or some school of boxer puncher type philosophy that actually makes her, a lot more sustainable in the fight. And that's what I personally love out of Terry because she's very intelligent when she comes in. She doesn't just try to openly trade with you all the time. Which, granted, in the Natasha Jonas fight, she got clipped a couple times, and she was being pretty stupid by letting Natasha hit her. Because what she should have done, she should have jabbed that. Yeah, she should have double jab, peek out back, use reflexes, and then go back in. So that way, Natasha, she can't go in because Natasha, she's an inside fighter. But with Terry, if she has more of the advantage using outside boxing, then use your advantages because it doesn't make any sense to try to openly trade with a woman, which could have easily knocked her out that day, but she came very lucky to sustain those punches because she was not positioning, her feet properly, and then she got hit, with that flash punch, and then boom, it really hit her that hard. But I think with Mikaela Mayer, she's a lot more vulnerable to that because Terry, she's definitely sharpening more on the defense, and I think that's really going to be her biggest rise to conquering, her division because her skill set is definitely improving. But I think if she performs the way she did against Katharina Sanders, that's going to be some big trouble. And I don't think Mikaela should have too much problems against her. But if she doesn't work on cutting off at the ring and using her proper defense to nerf the strengths and abilities that a fighter like Terry Harper has, or even that Asian girl Queen Mi Choi, because she's more of like a brawler puncher type of fighter. But still, it's like that still presents issues because you're dealing with somebody that knows how to hit you. And if they know how to hit you, then they definitely know how to fight on the inside. But when it comes to the outside game and you mix it up, game over. You could easily beat them. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what the 130-pound division will do because Timothy Bradley or Sambo Bradley and Sambo Ward were saying that Amanda Serrano should come up to 130 and challenge Mikaela, and I think that would be a beautiful fight. But I'm just gonna keep it real here. I think Amanda wants to go for undisputed first, and then when she beats all those ladies up, she could probably force herself to be a mandatory right to Mikaela Mayer, and I think Mikaela she would get styled on by Amanda. Amanda Serrano is a Vander Holyfield 2.0. Katie Taylor is like, I don't want to say Tommy Morrison. I really don't. I don't want to put her next. Yeah, put her next to him because she does not have knockout power. But I don't even want to use like another fighter like Greg Hogan. But I mean, honestly, she's like a. I don't know. I don't know. If I'm gonna put her next to any good fighter, actually a good fighter, if she's really that good to her fullest potential, she could emulate a Vernon Forrest. Or if she's just basic and she does have potential but she has cracks in her armor, definitely a Billy Collins or a John Duddy type of fighter. I don't know. But I think with her style against Amanda's style, Amanda's all wrong for her. Honestly, I'm just gonna keep it clear. Amanda gives her a lot of issues, and what she says about her defeating Katie Taylor with her advantages, I don't think she's going to do the same thing to an Amanda Serrano that will pressure you, but she knows how to outbox you and move like you. Because even if she outmoves you and you try to keep up with her, it's game over because she already knows where to find you. She already knows how to hunt you down, and Amanda is probably one of the biggest hitters ever. She's definitely one of the hardest, heaviest, knockout punchers in boxing. But she doesn't need to go for a knockout. That's why, like, if you really think about it, her and Evander Holyfield are like very similar in style. And I mean, if you really look at Evander Holyfield's style compared to most heavyweights in boxing, I would say 90% of them could not handle his style. Because his style was made to recreate the style that you have, and then he just basically re-emulates a different fighting game to make you off balance. Because that's what Evander Holyfield does. He does things that you don't think that he would do. He could fight on the outside, he could fight on the inside, he could mix it up. He could literally walk you down and still not get hit. Because his defense is just, impenetrable. Because how he does it is that he repositions his footwork to come in and then he moves his head around, being slick, being very timid, and being very unpredictable. And that's what I like out of Amanda Serrano, because Amanda Serrano, she does look the same exact thing, but she really comes in more of like a very raw-ish boxer puncher type of style. And, you know, a lot of people would try to, you know, tell me that Amanda Serrano is not that type of fighter. She doesn't fight like Holyfield, blah, blah, blah. But if you really look at her fights and compare it to Holyfield, she's just like him. It's just that how she fights is not like the same fighter that you would think, because Amanda, she's really not that type of fighter to, how should I say? She's not that type of fighter to let punches and bunches take her down. And she's very, you know, smart at using like the right ones to get you hurt. And I think like the way, you know, Mikaela looked like out there last night, she can really face some major problems against Terry Harper or even Mavia Hamadouche. But I would even say Amanda Serrano could easily stop her too. But I think Mikaela, she's a very decorated fighter. I don't give her any disrespect. I just wish that she had more of a higher ring generalship to keep the pressure away from her, because she obviously does not like it when pressure is being applied to her. But you know, I guess we'll just find out when she wants to fight those big names, and then, you know, like, we'll see if she's really, you know, actually serious about being that type of, you know, warrior that she claims she is. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for today's videos. I just wanted to put that out there and just say what I wanted to say. Alright, thank you very much, and goodbye.